Getting a PhD is really hard. And there's a lot of reasons that it probably should be. But recently, a friend submitted his doctoral thesis. And as he told me about it, he said it was like he had just taken the journey that Frodo took to Mount Doom to throw away the ring. And so that's a beautiful story, Lord of the Rings. There's this incredible journey, this incredible quest, which you suffer through, or you watch someone suffer through, to the point where there's a moment where it happens and we all know that it was worth it because it makes sense within the story. We know it needed to happen. And there's difficulty afterwards, right? What does life look like after this major quest? And I think that sort of story can be an appropriate story to hold the narrative of what the PhD is. I'm not anti-suffering, but I think that often we make comparisons to stories like this in the midst of our journey to justify the suffering that we're undergoing or the wandering that we're in the middle of. But we don't have the kind of clarity that Frodo had about his task. There's a poem in Lord of the Rings, and it contains an oft quoted, taken out of context, quote that not all those who wander are lost. But actually, some people who wander are lost. And in fact, if you read the whole poem, it's all that is gold does not glitter. Not all those who wander are lost. The old that is strong does not wither. Deep roots are not reached by the frost. From the ashes a fire shall be woken, a light from the shadows shall spring. Renewed shall be blade that was broken, the crownless again shall be king. As held within the poem, this idea that not all who wander are lost is an idea that says there is quite a lot of uncertainty when we're on a journey towards something that is important and valuable and that has total hope for renewal in the midst of great sacrifice. But not all those who wander are lost when it's held within a story like this. Many who wander in the PhD journey are lost. And again, uncertainty and lostness is not always a bad thing. But knowing why we're lost and what we need to be unlost is really important. Understanding the reasons that we're lost is, I think, a large part of what spirituality is. Spirituality, in many of its forms, are ways of attempting to help us make sense of being lost and to put that sense of lostness on a map to tell us how we got here and what will save us or at least point us in the right direction. And there are lots of different kinds of answers to that question, and so there's lots of different kinds of spiritualities, and they are often in conflict. So, we have to discern our postures towards the journey, and we have to discern where we are on that journey. And when we're feeling lost, this is essential. It's not the lostness that is necessarily the problem. It's when we get so used to being lost that we don't think it's possible to find our way back onto a path, and not a path with no resistance, but a path that moves us in a direction that we mean to go. So, another way to think about this would be to ask the question, what would it be like if Frodo actually had no idea why he needed to destroy the ring in Mount Doom? Or what would it have been like if he was sure he needed to destroy the ring in Mount Doom and he was willing to suffer for it, but no one else really understood it? And they were supportive of his journey, but those aren't going to be good stories. They're going to be a lot harder. And in the end, what's accomplished? So not all stories have to be like Lord of the Rings. That's an epic drama. But there needs to be clarity in the story that we're telling. We need to understand why and with what purpose we're engaging with our PhD journey and with what kind of hope. So, these are the sorts of things we'll get into, probably and hopefully many more metaphors to come. Come join me in this Spirituality and Academic Life cohort.